Welcome to the Lyss and Rozh Hockey Podcast. I'm Lyss,
And I'm Rozh.
and today we have on special guest, co-host of Game Over Winnipeg, Lyss Houde.
Woo!
Grand entrance, woohoo!
Thank you for coming on today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. This is definitely the first hockey podcast from the UK. I was gonna say European one. I feel like there might be one in there somewhere that I've done, but definitely the first hockey podcast from the UK that I've been a part of.
The best and only hockey podcast from the UK, as far as any of us are aware. So, it's in some
There
sense
you
the
go.
worst one from the
Originators.
UK been on as well. So, I'm not sure how good that is.
You just don't need to share that. You could say we're the and you don't need to explain that you're also the worst because you're the only one.
We also have on today special guest Ryan Graves. Say hello, Ryan. Never mind. Cool. Right. So, in terms of this week of hockey, there's really been fuck all going on. I'd like to say there's been a flood of news coming in, but there really hasn't. So, instead of trying to review the week of hockey news, actually, we could go over that little bit first. Should we do that, Rozh?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay. So, Liz has said that she doesn't know what this is about. So Daniel Sprong this week of the Detroit Red Wings has been accused by an IndyCar driver of assault.
What?
According to, and I'm reading from news website Detroit Hockey Now, IndyCar driver Zach DeMello is accusing Detroit Red Wings forward Daniel Sprong of assaulting him. DeMello claims the assault took place in a nightclub during the week of the Detroit Grand Prix. He's also claiming that there were two separate incidents involving him and Sprong. He said that he was assaulted in a nightclub, he grabbed my neck and pinned me on a wall. We were separated during that scuffle. He also says he had suffered a concussion and has chipped teeth. I have seen the images. I'm not going to show them on the podcast because pretty sure it violates some sort of law.
That's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, and also they'll get claimed. But his face got fucked up. It was
Weird.
bad. Daniel Sprong said nothing. The Detroit Red Wings said nothing. It's really weird.
So no statement has come out or anything yet?
Not as far as I'm aware. This story was written yesterday. I think from my memory it happened on Wednesday or Thursday, but the team has said nothing. Daniel Sprong has said nothing.
That's so interesting to me, and obviously, with all the regular, assault is bad, don't do it, believe victims, and all. How does I need to know how that came about. What happened? Did this guy know that Daniel Sprong was an NHL player, or are they just two random guys who got in a fight in a bar, and then all of a sudden he found out that he was a multimillionaire who was a professional athlete, and then was wait, this is the guy who beat me up? I wonder how that interaction came about.
It's amusing to me because the details are very few and far between. Apparently, DeMello said he will not be pursuing criminal charges. He will be laying criminal charges against Sprong.
Oh, he will be.
Interesting.
Oh. I feel usually when it's just a spat at the bar, people kind of leave it alone. But I mean, if he's injured, I definitely understand.
It was bad. I'll see if I can. Actually, I'm not going to try and find English. It was bad. It was
Yeah.
It looked like he'd been properly beaten up. Not even in a hockey fight where they punch one another and one of them comes out with a bit of a bloody eye or their lips a bit busted. He was properly mauled. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
We gotta protect ourselves. Allegedly.
Well, no, I feel you could say that he was straight up mauled, but allegedly by Daniel Sprong.
That's true. So I'm not sure where this leaves anyone, but if it does turn out, allegedly, that Daniel Sprong did assault his name Zach DeMello, I believe his name is.
Yeah.
How does this affect the Detroit Red Wings?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's
Asking the real
not
question,
good,
so.
but I feel this is the the hallmark of the hockey offseason is that like 85% of the news is hockey players getting married and the other 15% is them doing dumb shit and then getting in trouble in some capacity. So I feel like there's probably a similar situation you can look at from previous years where someone did something stupid and they got suspended from the team for the next year or whatever. I think the Detroit Red Wings are in a kind of weird spot right now regardless. And I don't know, I feel like it would be a net negative on them because I think Daniel Sprong is a good player and he's on a nice little contract. I like it. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Did he score 20 goals last year or did he score 19? I think he scored 20
21 goals, 25 assists, 46 points.
Oh, because
Like,
wasn't
that
he
is
one
a
of the like
big
what is it
loss.
like 6 players or something on the Seattle Kraken that had 20 goals this year?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think so.
Crazy.
Like, that
That'd
is
be
a
a rough
big
loss.
loss for the Red Wings.
But then weren't people freaking out because he wasn't qualified this year? And people were like, how could he not be qualified? Like he had 25 goals, whatever it was. Maybe he's not a good person.
That's true, actually. I didn't think about that. I do remember, like, when it was, just before free agency and all the qualifying offers came out, and everyone, like, Jeff Marek, I remember, being, like, blowing up on Twitter because he couldn't believe that Daniel Sprong wasn't given a qualifying offer. But yeah, you could be right. He could just be a shit person.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I think you're right in terms of the hockey news, though. It seems like, in terms of specific player news, most of it's weddings, and then a little bit is just what the hell are they doing? Like Alex Galchenyuk over there.
That's exactly it, yeah.
That was an event that happened. Go watch our other podcast to listen to our commentary on it. People at home. It was definitely very intelligent.
Yeah, we have the best discussion.
We had the best discussions. Did you guys hear about Tyler Sagan's wife?
I didn't know.
Oh, you are coming to the right person about Tyler Sagan's wife. As a former 14-year-old girl on hockey Twitter, many moons ago, I remember so much about everything about this girl. Yeah, but they're married now, so like congrats to them. Did something new happen, or are we just talking about her as a person?
So I don't really know like the details of it. I've just heard like bits and pieces, but it sounds fucking insane.
I will
Am I
give
right?
you what I sort of remember. I don't want to like it was a long time ago, and then I totally forgot that they even ended up getting together. But basically, she just used to be a fan slash kind of obsessed with him, I think, and like she was like online posting about him and a little bit. I want to say we're gonna go with the word allegedly a lot today. I want to say she was a little bit on the creepy side with things. I don't remember 100%. Like it was just so then when they started dating, a lot of the people who like knew her from like hockey Twitter and hockey Tumblr, especially back in the day, were like, "There's no way, there's no way." And now they're married. So it was really funny when they like posted. Well, first of all, they got married in like Bermuda or like the Bahamas or something nice like that, and they honeymooned in Utah. Which was insane. But they posted a picture of them in Utah, and she's like, "I would chase you anywhere" or something because they were like out for a hike or something, and everyone just lost their minds because they're like, "Yeah, you would."
Didn't she like? Do correct me if I'm wrong here. Didn't she move her family from Boston to Dallas?
Like
Or
that's ringing
something
a
like
bell.
that?
I want to say there's something along those lines. Yes, like I think maybe.
I feel like I've read somewhere that she managed to convince her family to move to Dallas after Sagan got traded so that she could be closer to Sagan. I feel like that was something that might have happened. Which is just that is crazy behavior.
It's a lesson for the kids, if you want someone, just follow them around.
Oh my god.
Right? If a guy did this, criminal.
Well, I feel like if that's actually true, it should be criminal regardless. Like that's
It should be
crazy.
criminal. I think there should be no double standard here. She should be investigated for all sorts of stuff.
But here's the thing: is that like she followed him or whatever, and like he still married her. He popped the question. Like I don't know. Like
It just is really weird. It's so bizarre.
Maybe Tyler has a type.
Stalkers?
I guess so.
So hold
People
on,
who
I'm
belong.
just doing some digging on her. I overestimated my abilities to remember anything about her. Okay, maybe she didn't move her family to Dallas, but she went to university in Dallas. So if she's originally from Boston,
Ah,
maybe she chose her
okay.
university based on that, because that's possible.
That is possible.
I'm
It's
just scrolling down through the depths of this girl. She posted an F. Scott Fitzgerald quote in 2017. That's so nice.
nice to know she's thinking about former presidents. Was that Scott Fitzgerald a
Exactly.
president?
No, I think he's the guy who wrote like The Great Gatsby, isn't he?
Oh, isn't he the guy who shot Lincoln?
No, no.
Well, that's John Wilkes Booth.
That is John Wilkes Booth. I knew that.
Okay, wait. She was in Dallas in January of 2017. So I don't know. I really don't know, guys. I'm letting you down here. I think if I had 3 to 4 extra business days, I might be able to get some better scoop on her. But yeah, there's definitely something weird there, and she's definitely like was someone who posted online about Tyler Seguin before she was exclusively dating and engaged to Tyler Seguin. That is basically the extent of what I know for sure.
How would you rate it from a scale of 1 to 10 of weird?
Um,
10
I
being very, very weird.
I want to only give it an 8 just because I feel like there are a lot of weird things that go on in this world. And this girl, she was just trying to mastermind by Taylor Swift him. Like I think she was just trying to like and it worked. So like I don't know, but I feel like I don't want to give it like a straight up 10. But it's weird.
I'm very
It's
sorry. I
definitely
don't
weird.
understand that. I don't understand that reference.
Oh, Lewis, come on! You got to get with the times.
I'm
Taylor
sorry.
Swift has a song called Mastermind about how she's like basically every move I've ever made to get into my relationship has been calculated. So
That's just odd. Is it not? Is that not odd?
But
well,
what she did is odd.
But is it like okay because she's Taylor Swift?
I was gonna say I will not speak out against Mother, but I think if I just heard that song, I'd be like, oh, interesting. But I mean, like the concept of it is cute, where it's like none of this was accidental. Like it's like oh, like that's kind of nice that like you knew that this was something that you wanted. You made sure that like you got. I don't know. I'm just trying to defend her here, but it is a little bit on the weird side.
Would it offend? I feel like I'm going to offend a lot of people here. I might get called out on
You be careful what you say about Taylor
Plus.
Lewis. I'm serious. I'm
I
not even joking. Be careful.
I've only ever listened to Taylor Swift unwillingly.
Oh my god.
Okay, here's the thing. That's okay. Like, you don't have to like her music. It's not like it's for everybody. Like, if you don't like it, you don't like it. It is what it is. I just don't like when people are like, "Oh, she's untalented," or "Oh, she's a lazy songwriter," or things like that. 'Cause it's like that's not true. But saying, "Oh, I don't listen to her music," or "I don't like her music," that's okay. You're entitled to that opinion, and I do not judge you for it.
I will
I
say
do.
for the songs I have, the songs I have heard, they're very samey.
They're very what?
They're samey. They're very like indifferent from each other.
See, which is hilarious because she has like 10 albums, like 200 songs, whatever, and they all like there's a big progression of them. Like they sound very different, like from Fearless to Reputation to Folklore, like very different vibes. I promise if you listen to more, you would not think that.
But then to like get an opinion on it, I'd have to go out and listen to more Taylor Swift.
So yeah, and that's what I'm trying to trick you into doing.
But I don't think I want to do that.
Well, you're not gonna have a choice when we go to training. That's all I'm gonna play.
I will not come to training. Problem solved. You're gonna force Taylor Swift upon me just to play hockey with you. It's not happening.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna be, we're all gonna be training, and then just throughout the speaker system, it's gonna be Taylor Swift the whole time.
She has a
Might
lot of
kill
songs that are
myself.
great pump up songs. I'm sure you'd like them.
What about her 2010 stuff, Lewis? Come on, you can't tell me you don't like that. Like 22.
You see,
Or like,
do when I think about Taylor Swift is just associate them with the people who spend thousands of dollars and pounds and whatever just to go watch her concert. there's better things to spend money on, surely.
Never start the experience.
I feel
That's
like
exactly it. And what if I were to say there are a lot of better things to spend money on than spending thousands of dollars for season tickets to your favorite hockey team? It's all about the experience.
I don't spend thousands of dollars to go watch my favorite hockey team because they are across the Atlantic Ocean, and I can't do
I was
that.
gonna say, but you would. But you would.
If you had the money, you would.
Yeah. It depends how much they were.
Well,
'Cause
let's
I
just say
feel
you
like-
have the money. Let's just say you got like £1 billion, right? You know, your uncle
Also, I have
died.
the money to spare.
Yeah, Uncle Bobby's fallen off the cliff. You got all the inheritance.
Fine, there's a
You'd spend it
backstory
on
here
an
you need to
experience.
develop.
Don't
You'd
worry
spend it
about
on
it.
an experience.
I don't know. I heard someone the other day who said they spent like $5,500 to go and watch 4 nights in a row.
Yeah,
Like-
that tracks.
That's not normal behavior, surely.
I don't understand that one because she's been very consistent with her set list across the board. Like, of those 4 shows, they would have seen the same songs the entire time, except every show has 2 different songs. Everything else is the exact same. So they would have only seen like 8 out of the ordinary songs. The rest would have been songs that they were expecting. So I don't know. I find that interesting.
So it's like a really expensive real life pack of Pokemon cards.
Basically, yeah. They're called surprise songs. They're kind of like a mystery pack.
Interesting. I still don't get it, but I understand it a little more.
We'll
Like
get
This
to that one day.
podcast is devolved into talking about Taylor Swift.
No,
I can put
Lewis,
this on Twitter now, like hashtag Taylor Swift, and get loads of people getting angry at it.
Lewis,
Oh, find me some impressions. Let's go.
Lewis, we'll take you to a Taylor Swift concert, and then maybe you'll understand.
I ain't paying for that. I ain't doing that. You can pay for me. I might consider going. I'm not.
You might.
I'm not
You won't
spending
even
the
go.
night
You
to go
might.
see Taylor Swift.
Wait, okay,
Is-
Lewis,
I-
guess how many people? So Taylor Swift announced that she was going to have 6 shows in Toronto. Guess how many people registered to get like a code to buy tickets?
Was it 70% of the Canadian population?
Okay, yeah, it was 31 million people.
Whoa.
Yeah.
31 million Ticketmaster accounts tried to get a code to buy Taylor Swift tickets.
Do you
Isn't
live
that
in
insane?
Winnipeg?
I do, yeah.
Do you feel offended that Taylor Swift decided not to go to Winnipeg?
Absolutely not. Our stadium has a capacity of like 25,000 people. I do not think that that is worth her money. But she was the
Fair
first
enough.
person actually to ever perform in the stadium when it was built, when she was on her Red tour in like 2012 or whatever. That was when we built the new stadium, and she was the first show in it. So I feel like it should have sentimental value to her, and she should come here.
Only so you can go and see her at a cheaper price.
Well, I feel like if 31 million people registered to go to 6 shows in Toronto, where the population is like 6 million, I don't think I would have gotten tickets to my own city.
I feel like I know Toronto's the biggest city, but it's like Vancouver, surely?
Yeah, well, there's so many people conspiring about her adding tour dates in other places in Canada. I don't think she's going to. I feel like she would have announced them, but Vancouver would be definitely the next best bet, if not Montreal. But yeah.
Interesting. What's your opinion on the Edmonton Oilers?
Oh my god.
May I ask what your opinions are on the Edmonton Oilers before I share?
I have some choice words. Some choice words.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly.
Mildly.
Yeah.
The Edmonton Oilers are my like deal breaker team. Like, if I had a partner of 5 years who dropped down on one knee and proposed and said, also, I'm an Oilers fan, it would be a no for me. So they're my deal breaker team. I despise them with every ounce of my being.
You're exactly like me.
Yeah, they suck. I hate them.
I feel trapped. I want out.
The only reason you like them is because Ryan Murray plays them, and he's not even signed to a contract now anymore. So
Ryan Nugent
enough of
Hopkins,
this.
okay, Lewis.
Oh, yeah, that's true. fucking biggest Nuge fan on the planet over there.
He's huge. What can I say?
He's just mid.
He is
I
not
mean, I
mid.
feel like that explains most NHL players. Like, he's just mid. Like, what are we doing here?
My main problem with the Edmonton Oilers is that you have an elite generational talent in Connor McDavid, you have an elite generational talent in Leon Draisaitl, and then you choose to pay Darnell Nurse $9.35 million. To me, that's just insane.
See, I hate them because I live in Winnipeg, which is Western Canada, and in Western Canada, like Toronto, like Ontario, the GTA, like they're just kind of like their own world they live. It's fine, it is what it is. And Western Canada is just kind of like lumped together all the time. So everyone in Vancouver and Calgary and Winnipeg hates the Oilers because it could be like, Mark Scheifele can score a hat trick in a game and then Connor Hellebuyck can post a shutout, and the entire Western media is going to be like, all right, but Connor McDavid smiled in an interview today. Like, it's just, they're the Toronto of the West. Like, everyone only ever talks about Edmonton. Like, it's so exhausting because they had Gretzky and then now they have McDavid. And it's just like, the Edmonton Oilers are like the biggest deal in the world and they don't do anything.
They are the epitome of a mid team. And I mean that in the nicest way, because I know that they made the second round this year, but look what they did versus the Vegas Golden Knights. Fuck all!
Yeah, and I
Like,
mean, at a certain point, like, aren't you supposed to do better than the second round exit with Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl on your team?
my qualms with the Oilers are more to do with their construction rather than a hatred for their blood, but I can understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, no, and it's like and the construction piece is like an added, because if they were really well built and really well run, like I would be okay with people like that's why I got less annoyed with the media talking so much about Toronto this year, because they were a better hockey team and they were the storyline, because Montreal sucked, Ottawa sucked, like you could talk about the Leafs, you had to, but
Yeah.
they suck. They're built poorly, they don't perform and all those different kinds of things, and still they're all we talk about. It's like, oh my gosh, give it a rest.
This is exactly what I've been looking for in a co-host, someone who equally hates the Oilers.
Am I getting
But
kicked
it's
out?
Yeah, you're
Like,
out, buddy. This is
yeah,
called the
I'm,
Anti-Oilers podcast now.
I'm gone.
It's shit. Like, all you do, Rozh, is hype up Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
Yeah, and
And
you know what? I was right this year. Finally.
that's because he played with possibly, and I'm putting possibly on this, possibly the greatest NHL player we've ever seen.
They were on different lines, I swear.
I think actually we did a dive into this, not on the podcast. We looked at how many of Nuge's points weren't assisted by McDavid and also weren't on the power play. And it's such a small number. It's so
Okay, but he
small.
does so much, okay? He's so versatile. PK, power play, left wing,
Wasn't he the
center.
reason that LA scored in that first playoff series in overtime?
Weren't you the reason we went on the PK in Nationals?
Uh, that's a separate issue. I don't want to talk about it. They didn't score that PK, so enough of this Lewis slander.
Fine, if you leave Ryan alone, okay? What can I say? I love players called Ryan.
Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Ryan Murray, Ryan Graves, Derek Ryan.
No, that doesn't count.
Okay. No, it doesn't count. But the name Ryan is said more in play-by-play.
Shit.
I've got
Well,
there.
you know, I don't even want to be on this podcast. I'm out. I quit.
Okay, all right. Let's get into some proper hockey discussion. Liz, how would you rate the Jets off-season from 1 to 10?
I'm gonna give it a nice solid 5. Because I give them like a 10 for the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade. I think they ended up getting some really nice
Really?
pieces back for that. I love that trade. Pierre-Luc Dubois is my favorite hockey player, so I was like sad about it, but I think they
Really?
slayed that return. But I give them a 0 for not trading Connor Hellebuyck or Mark Scheifele yet. So I'm very, very in between on that. So I maybe I lean more towards a 6 because I'm okay with what they've done. I'm glad that Blake Wheeler is off the books now. I'm glad they were able to keep Vlad Mestikov. So I'm okay with that, but I'm really stressed about Connor Hellebuyck and Mark Scheifele, so I'm not going to give too much credit to the team yet.
It's a very interesting opinion you have, Love.
We spoke about this, and you said you weren't a fan of that trade.
I think the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade is an absolute fumble by the Winnipeg Jets.
What? In what way? Explain. Explain.
I will happily explain to you why I think the Winnipeg Jets are the worst hockey team in Western Canada.
Oh!
No, it's not that bad. I think they, out of the 4 Western Canadian teams, they rank 2 below Edmonton in terms of skill.
Realistically, yeah.
Because let's be honest, the Calgary Flames shouldn't be a team, and the Vancouver
Train wreck.
Canucks are the funniest team in hockey.
Train wreck.
Just hilarious. So I look at the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade. I go, right, who are you trading? You are trading first line centre. He scored 80 points last season.
No, not that many.
Did he not?
PLD
63.
63.
You sign him to an $8.5 million contract. The hype around him was very large in terms of the media attention regarding how good PLD is, I guess. Considering how much value it seemed that teams were putting on him, the return they got just doesn't seem good enough. You've got Velarde and Kupari, at least from my perspective, are just okay. And then Alex Iafallo is again just okay. And then you get a second round pick. To me, a player that is regarded that highly as PLD, whether he is or not, is a different issue. That's an entirely different conversation. But considering how highly he is regarded, what you get back for him, to me, is just not enough.
Okay, so here is why I fully understand where you're coming from in that sense, but just the politics around it were so frustrating because he was an RFA, 1 year left of control, and had essentially a no trade clause, like whatever. Like he had control over where he went because he was refusing to go to a lot of different hockey teams. He was like, I refuse to sign here and I refuse to go to these teams. I won't sign with them either. The Jets were painted into like just this awful, awful corner where basically a lot of us thought that he was gonna almost end up getting traded for a scrap of nothing to like the Montreal Canadiens or Boston Bruins or something because he was just being such a pain about everything. So there was like this whole thing where it's like, oh, like Montreal could offer sheet him, and then if the Jets match it, they can't trade him and they're going to let him walk for free. Or if no one wants him because they know that he's demanded out of his last 2 teams, like no one's going to want to sign him. Like people were just worried that there was no value there whatsoever. Good hockey player, the hockey player that everyone wants as their second line center on a playoff team, fully agreed with that. But I was so worried that we were going to get so little for him because of other teams' like perception of him as a person and not as a player. So that's why I'm fine with the return because Gabe Vilardi still has the potential to be a really, really good hockey player. Rasmus Kupari, I don't think really does. I think he's okay and he still has a lot of growth left in him. I don't think he's going to turn into anything special. Now, Alex Iafallo, you know where you're getting there, but like getting decent pieces like that back for a player who you were never going to get regardless, to me is a huge deal because it's not like the alternative was keeping Pierre-Luc Dubois. You were losing him no matter what, so I'm okay with it.
I appreciate your take, and I can understand where you're coming from. In what's the word? In response to that, if the Kings came back to Kevin Cheveldayoff and went, or Cheveldayoff went to the Kings, we'll give you PLD. It's an untenable position here. He's gonna leave. We'll give you PLD. But in return, we want Quinton Byfield. Only Quinton Byfield. Surely that's better than what they got.
But in what world would the LA Kings have wanted to give up that good of an asset for a player that they knew the Jets were in a rough position. Like, it wasn't like there was a big bidding war for him or anything like that. Like, teams were just kind of out on this guy, I feel like.
But I mean, the position I'm coming from is that I feel like Cheveldayoff was yes, he was in a bad position, but the asset that he had, I think he undervalued Dubois a bit, and what he sent to the Kings and what he got back. I feel like he just could have got more. And sure, Velarde and Kabari and I follow are okay, but you've basically just given you've given the Kings a second line setup, maybe even a first line setup, depending on where Kopitar plays. And in
You've
return,
given them that, but you haven't like that's the thing is I don't value him the same as a player. Like, say you have another player that's second line center, 65-point player, blah, blah blah, whatever. Like, I don't value him the same as that because the alternative was not keeping him and letting him produce on your team, whatever. That's like the Mark Scheifele trade or whatever that we're looking for right now. It's like either you trade him and you get XYZ in assets, or you keep a 90-point player on your team. But there wasn't even the option of keeping the 65-point player on their team. Like, it wasn't even on the table because there was no way he was signing even a year-long deal to walk him into UFA. Like, he was like, I'm out, I'm done. So I feel like that's why the asset was valued so low by the Jets, because they knew that it would be a non-existent asset in a year from now.
but do you think that the Jets have managed to replace Dubois in the aggregate?
Oh
Do you
no.
think Iafallo and Kabari and Velarde manage like that? That's what I'm thinking of, and also I don't think it helps that the Jets refuse to rebuild.
Well, that's
Rebuild.
exactly because I'm fully team blow it up. So that's why, like, I was like, if you can be good in 4 or 5 years, and like Gabe Velarde will be a little bit older, but if you think of every team that rebuilds, like, it's not like their entire team is 24-year-olds. Like, they have a couple of older pieces and a couple of younger pieces too. Like, you move things around or whatever, but like they seem like they still want to be competitive this year because they were able to net like a fine return. And I disagree with that because they don't have the same type of center depth that they used to. And Pierre-Luc Dubois, as irritating of a player as he was, like he put the team on the power play quite frequently, and he was able to play out on line with pretty much anybody, and he was able to hold different kinds of roles. Like, very, very impactful hockey player, and they haven't replaced that at all, in my opinion.
And I feel like they could have done. That's the thing.
I don't know if they could have. I really don't. And it's so funny because I feel like I'm going to bat for Kevin Cheveldayoff right now, which is like not a thing that I usually do, but I was okay with this.
Interesting. Very interesting. How do you rate their overall off season then, including the PLD trade and all of their signings, which are
Yeah.
looking at them now, just not great.
No, like it's a very mid off season. Like I like the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade, whatever, but I hate that they haven't traded Connor Hellebuyck yet. I really hate it.
Who would you like to see Hellebuyck go to?
I'd love to see him in Jersey. I know that that's kind of a cop-out answer or whatever at this point, but I think I love the New Jersey Devils. I think they're so much fun, and I loved the growth that they had this year, and I think they're a young, fun team that would do fantastic with some extra goaltending support, and I'd like to see Connor Hellebuyck succeed, and I think if he can sign a long-ish term deal there, like, they're still on the ups, right? Like, New Jersey is a year or two ahead of where we thought they were going to be, so they have it's not like they're on the decline, right? Like, they're still on the up, and I think he would be an awesome fit there. I'd love to see it.
See, Jersey, I've seen a lot of people talk about Jersey as a destination for Hellebuyck, but I personally just don't see it. Even in UFA, I think he will command too much money that I don't think Jersey will be able to fit under without moving one of their key pieces. I also think the tandem of Schmid and Vanacek is just too good to not let run.
Yeah, like, I do think, like, I know what you mean, and I think we're going to see more tandems become more of a regular thing, like the whole Swayman Ullmark thing. Like, I think teams always like to overcorrect a little bit based on where they've seen other teams succeed, but I do think that as a general trend, like, slowly we're going to see starting goaltenders starting to make a little bit less and having a little bit less of a workload as well. I don't think we'll see it quite yet, so I do think he's going to command quite a bit of money, but I do think tandem style is kind of the way to go.
I think you're right. I especially like what I think what Boston did in the playoffs was just completely fucking insane. But I think you're right in terms of how goaltending is going to change moving forward. But I still think he signed to 6.66667? Is that his cap hit at the moment, Houde?
6.1.
6.1?
Yeah.
No, I could have sworn it was. It's 6.166666. Okay, so I was 500 grand off. I feel like he gets 8.5.
Yeah, like I feel like his deal is gonna look a little bit like the Sorokin one.
Or would you rather have Sorokin or Hellebuck?
Don't ask me that question. I'm not
Rozh?
answering that. I
Sorokin or
love
Hellebuck?
Connor Hellebuck. I think he is like just a phenomenal goaltender, and I could talk about him for hours and hours and hours about how unbelievably bad the hockey team in front of him was for years, but no one gave it enough attention because of how goddamn good he was. But as far as like into the future, whatever, I'd love to have Ilya Sorokin locked up. Or if Connor Hellebuck was locked up and we had a good team, like I'd want to keep Connor Hellebuck. I think Connor Hellebuck probably is a better goaltender than Ilya Sorokin, but I also know that I have my own biases, so maybe that's not 100% true. But Sorokin's younger and he's locked up on a great deal, so I don't know.
I think I would prefer Sorokin. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's just more of a. I know he hasn't won a Vezina yet. But I think he's just more of a solid goaltender. He is not, however, my favourite goalie in the league.
Who would that be?
You know who it is.
I don't.
Yes, you do.
Why didn't you tell me?
Devon Levi.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, so many Jets fans were like people were making so many mock trades about Connor Hellebuck going to the Sabres and sending back Devon Levi. And honestly, I don't hate
You'd
that
lose
if
that trade for the Sabres. Sabres would lose that trade.
no, I was gonna say like I don't hate it in the sense of like if the Sabres were like wanting to kind of jump ahead in the rebuild and be good right now, like Connor Hellebuck is definitely a better goaltender than Devon Levi, but I think
No, I can't believe you just said that.
100% he is. I'm not saying he will be forever, but like right now, are you joking?
No, I would take Devon
Come
Levi.
on. You
This is
can't
a
be
hill I will
serious.
die on. This is a hill I will die on.
Lewis, come on.
Don't you,
Oh
Lewis,
my
come on
god.
me. This is a hill I will actually die on.
Well, you're dead then, because I'm not backing down on mine.
You know what? Do I say this? I don't want to get like this called back in 8 months. Do
I'm
I?
clipping this, so say it.
I don't know.
Don't be a coward, come on.
Fine. I reckon that Devon Levi gets the Calder over Conor Bedard.
No.
Yeah, that is the hottest take of all time, and I will stand by it.
Add it to the wheel.
I
I've
don't need
got
to
to
add it
say,
to the
I
wheel.
will always respect people go to bat for their favorite prospects beyond comprehension level, where it's like, oh, Devin Levi's pretty good. And you're like, yeah. You know
Beyond
what? I do think he's going to
level.
win the Vezina this year. It's like, oh, okay.
This is like a galaxy brain take.
Galaxy brain take.
In what world does he win the Calder over Bedard?
I mean, my opinions on Bedard are also suspects, but we'll save those for another day.
No, I honestly I have a lot of time for the take of Connor Bedard will not win the Calder. Like I don't mind that, but Devin Levi I feel like is a little bit of an interesting one. But hey, I respect it. I don't agree with it, but
Like ignoring the fact that Conor Bedard is Conor Bedard. If you look at the rest of the prospects around the league going into their Calder eligible seasons, there aren't like. I mean, there's a handful that you would consider to be able to compete with Bedard. Let's assume that Bedard is going to be the go-to Calder winner, right? Out of the eligible Calder candidates, who could compete with him? Logan Cooley? Maybe?
Logan Cooley definitely could compete with him, and it's just interesting because it's so dependent on like who ends up playing, right? Because there are so many players like I don't know, like where like Matty Beniers. If Matty Beniers they had decided last year was just going to have another year of development in whatever league, like they could have said sure whatever, and then he would be this year competing for Bedard for that and whatever. I just think that there are a lot of young players who are in good positions to succeed, and it just seems like everyone's just expecting Connor Bedard to find his own in the NHL immediately, and I think that's a little bit unfair. It almost feels like with the hype that's been around Connor Bedard, if he doesn't win every single major award that he's eligible for every single year, he's a failure, which I feel like is so unfair to do to the kid. Like I feel like there are lots of players that could come in and have just more successful seasons, probably not more successful careers, but as a first season, I wouldn't be surprised if someone else came in and did it.
I think that he is going to have a lot of pressure put on him, not just by the media around the NHL, but the Chicago Blackhawks, because he is now their best player. Let's not bat around the bush here. He is their best player by a large margin, and he is a fresh 18-year-old. The amount of pressure that he must feel right now is just insane. Your line mates are Nick Foligno and Corey Perry, and you're expected to succeed.
That's exactly it. Like, you think
But
he's going to do that when he's being sent out there against every team's best lines every single night?
Their starting goaltender is Peter Mrazek.
Leafs legend.
Leafs legend. And so the line he's likely going to be on is going to be Hall, Bedard, Tyler Johnson.
Brutal. You know, Taylor Hall's a fun player. Like I feel like there's room for success there, but like, good lord.
What I want them to do is have like Hall, Bedard, Perry on the right wing, and then see if he can get another rocket. I think that'd be really funny.
We just keep feeding Perry.
Just feed Perry.
Didn't he win the rocket like 15 years ago?
2010,
no, I think it was earlier than
2011.
that. Like, because they won the cup in 2007, and I want to say it was like the year before or after that or something.
Perry in 10-11.
10-11.
Oh, okay, never mind. I lied.
He scored 50 goals.
What a legend.
I think that'd be hilarious. You just have Bedard as just feeding Perry every single time.
I think his arms will fall off though if he tries to go for 50
quite possibly.
Again.
He is. He's 38 years old. He signed a $4 million contract. What a fucking record. Okay.
Cap floor, baby. Cap floor.
Oh, Matt Dumba makes less than Corey Perry.
Matt Dumba makes less than Corey Perry. That's insane. But going back to the Calder conversation, like Corley, Bedard, Levi, those are the guys I expect to be able to, like, those are the three that I think are going to be competing for the Calder. And then maybe another Sabres prospect. My favourite prospects are Sabres prospects by a huge margin.
Oh, they rock. They rock. Like, I'm so obsessed with JJ Peterka, and they have a couple of Winnipeg Ice players that I also love because the Winnipeg Ice are my junior hockey team, right? So I watch them a lot and stuff like that. Like, Matt Savoy,
Matt Savoy is my favourite prospect after Levi. I'm not even joking. He is.
That's my boy.
I want him so badly on my team.
So good.
I get to
just to make that clear. I used to, when I was playing NHL 22 franchise mode, no matter what he was rated, I always used to pick him with my first pick. And then he went on to score, like, I think he broke all of the records. Mainly because I was playing with, we're just going to kill with this. I was playing with the cap off and I just used to sign off.
No, that's not how you do franchise mode.
How do you do franchise mode with the cap off?
So I used to play the game. I'm gonna get put on trial for this. Roshi was actually gonna lose our friendship over this. I used to just turn the cap off, and every off season I used to just give all of the good players the max salary, so
How is
they
that
would all
fun?
come to my
Where's the
team.
fun in that?
And then any ones that were just spare, I used to just trade for first round picks.
Oh my god. That's great. The game's bad enough already. It's a terrible game. Why are you making it worse?
It's kind of fun for a while because you used to have like teams that were full of just insanely good players, and then you used to get like the morale checks, and you get a Ovechkin saying, "I'm tired of playing on the fourth line." Like, shut up! You stay there. You'll play 8 minutes a night.
This is why you can never be a GM.
I'd be an insane GM.
Would you?
Insanely good. I want to point out, my moves would be legendary.
You would just be Bergevin 2.0. Okay, that is who you would
Tell
be.
me right now. Me, right now, as a 19-year-old, the only thing I've ever done regarding hockey is play like 3 junior games and a nationals tournament where we lost every single game. Tell me right now I'll be a worse GM than Ken Holt.
Well, that's okay. That's hard to do, but
There you go. Thank you very much.
No, honestly, like that's the thing. People are like, oh, they're professionals, whatever. You see the qualifications of guys like Danny Briere. Like, I think is going to be a fine GM in Philadelphia, but like he is not a qualified individual. Like these guys just play hockey, and then if they decide they want to coach, go into media or be a GM, and that's their qualification right there. So I feel like there are so many people that could do just as good of a job, if not better, with better qualifications that aren't. I played in the NHL.
I have to stand up for Danny Briere there for a second because I'm pretty sure before he was made GM of the Flyers, he did manage a minor league team.
No, like he was in the QMJHL, I'm pretty sure, something like that. I don't know. Like it's not like but even that, what was he qualified to do there? Like he was just a hockey player and he was from Quebec, so he was a GM in the QMJHL.
He managed the Maine Mariners.
What is that? Is that a university team or is it
ECHL, I think.
ECHL, yeah.
Good lord, okay. See, he wasn't even the GM of a QMJHL team. He was a step below that, or whatever you want to call the ECHL. I call it a step below that.
Is the ECHL a step below the QMJHL? Really?
Well, yes, in my opinion it is, because the pipeline to the NHL is way worse, but I mean, yeah, they're on par. They're not good leagues, but I mean, at least the QMJHL isn't supposed to be a good league. Like, they're supposed to be feeder, and those kids mostly become NHL players. ECHL is most of those kids couldn't become NHL players. I'm also an ECHL hater, so.
Why are you an ECHL hater?
I don't know. I feel like there are so many guys who are like, oh yeah, I play pro hockey, and they have like 8 points in 40 ECHL games, and I'm like, no, you're not.
That's still high level hockey, though.
It is, but I mean, the pipeline of ECHL to NHL, like the percentage is so low. Like at a certain point, like it's not much of a feeder league. Like they send guys on PTOs to the AHL, and half of those guys don't even make it there. So
I'll give you that. It's just like the level of hockey that they play at, though, like the speed.
oh yeah, no. It's definitely an impressive level of hockey on its own. But if you say that like it's in the fabric of the NHL pipeline, that it's a high level.
That's a different story.
Straight up, not no.
Yeah.
Part of a Hague, known ECHL graduate to NHL graduate.
Justin Hall, I think.
Here's the thing, you can name like all of them. You know them. Because there are so few.
Me and Justin, we go way back.
You have a fair point. We can't talk about Justin Hall again. I will receive a letter in the post.
Oh, after last time.
Not after last time. Not sure it's going to go too well again.
Oh, yeah. Didn't you say you were going to go to his house or something?
I did not say I was going to go to his house. You were falsifying fast statements.
Oh, I don't know. I think you got to listen to the recording. I think you said something.
You can listen to it back. If you can find me a clip of saying that I'm going to go to Justin Hull's house, then I will forgive you publicly. But until then, I will not stand for this slander.
I'm just gonna clip the bit you just said now and send that to you. So.
Fuck you. Dick. That's a dick.
Okay.
Liz, what's your opinion on Steve Eisenman and his moves this offseason?
I feel like I've yo-yoed back and forth so many times with Steve Eiserman where I'm like, I trust the Eiser plan, and then I'm like, I don't trust the Eiser plan, and I think this offseason alone is kind of like a median of all that too, where I've liked some of the things that he's done, but I haven't liked them, most notably the Justin Hall deal. What is that? What is that? But then even when he signed like the Ben Sherrod deal last year, like not good. Andrew Kopp deal, not good. Like I just don't think they're going in the right direction. I think you sign the Andrew Kopps and the Ben Sherratts and the Justin Halls after when you're in a position like the Buffalo Sabres or the New Jersey Devils where your core is all almost ready to break out and they're young, and then you fill in the gaps with older players or whatever. But I feel like their young core, like Lucas Raymond and Moritz Seider, are kind of like on their own there. And they're not even quite at their like big NHL peak yet. So I really don't think they're exactly where they need to be right now. But at the same time, I don't know. Like Stevie Y doesn't get enough credit for what he did to put Tampa Bay in the situation they were in to move around and win as many games as they did. Obviously, he wasn't the GM at the time, but he set them up for a pretty good success. So I do think he is a good GM. But my trust in the Eiser plan has faltered a little bit.
I have lost all faith in the Eiser plan. And if anyone out there would love to give me any situation where signing Justin Hall to that contract is a good idea, I'd love to hear it. And I'd love to hear your arguments for it. I am aware that we're coming to the end of our time here on the Lyss and Rozh podcast. So before we finish up, I'd like to play a quick game. We've played this game before. What do we end up calling it, Rozh?
Oh, it's a hot take wheel.
The hot take wheel. I'm springing this on you a bit, Liz, but I hope you don't mind. Basically, what we did was we got a randomizer wheel and we filled it with random hot takes. So we're going to spin the wheel, and you're going to have 2 minutes to try and defend the hot take with as
Okay.
veracity as you can. They are genuinely horrendous takes, most of them. But do your best to defend them. And at the end, we will say whether or not we're convinced. Roach, you can have a go this week as well.
Oh, no.
You didn't
not
have
after
a go
last
time.
Not after last time.
What do you mean not after the last time?
I mean, I'll try it. But...
Okay, do you want to go first, Roach, or do you want Liz to go first?
I'll give it to Liz.
Okay.
All right.
I'm spinning the wheel, and it has landed on. Oh, okay. This is one of my ones. In the 2021 finals, that was the 56-game season for all those at home, versus Montreal, the Tampa Bay Lightning threw Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Finals so they could go home and win it at home.
Yeah, absolutely they did. Okay, so here's the thing, is that the reason they did that was because that was such a weird season and everyone was already kind of, looking at the Tampa Bay Lightning and saying, oh, like it's kind of a runaway, a throwaway, like this Montreal Canadiens team isn't that good and all these different kinds of things. And there's kind of a couple components there where they wanted to bring a little bit more legitimacy to their season. Even now, we know people are like, oh, it wasn't a real cup win because it was in a fake season. So swept the Montreal Canadiens. Everyone had just been like, yeah, this was a write-off of stupid season. Like, that's not even a real cup win. So having that extra game really legitimized it for them. And so the fact that it wasn't a cup final sweep. And then also, it had just been such a bad year for everyone that they wanted to give their fans something a little bit more. And winning in an empty arena where you aren't from in Canada that had way more COVID restrictions the US did, like 100% they wanted to do that in front of their fans.
So this is an argument I think you should have with Andrew Berkshire, because when we had him on, he was of the complete opposite opinion to you, and I tried to argue it as best I can, but you wouldn't have it. Yeah.
Are you convinced?
Montreal Canadiens. I was convinced anyway. That was my hot take. There was an actual hot
Oh,
take of mine.
okay. I don't
Right.
believe it at all, but
Oh, really?
no.
Man. Those
You
are
gotta be
all. Those
Was
drunk.
are,
I convincing? Was I convincing?
Yeah, no, but we gotta be
you convinced
drunk
those you
when
think
we
you
write
it's
these.
true, but yeah. Maybe we should. Do you want to go, Rozh? I'll spin the wheel.
Alright, spin the wheel.
Oh. We had this one last week, so we're not going to do it again. But it is argue that Chuck Fletcher is a good GM.
I mean, I can take a shot at it too if you want.
Nah, I spun it again. Teams shouldn't fly to their opponent's cities. They should take the team bus.
Oh, that's easy. Look, okay.
Okay, wait. You got 2 minutes starting now.
Okay. All right.
Go.
We all know North America is built for cars and buses and the like, right? Why else have so many lanes if you're not going to use them? Okay, you got to be eco-friendly here. Flying destroys the environment. Okay, it's really cramped, right? Like teams can't
More cramped than a
socialize.
bus.
Yes, more cramped than a bus. Okay, the
Okay.
toilets suck on a bus. Okay, way worse than an
You're
airplane.
arguing 4 buses here, Roche.
Oh, sorry. On an airplane, they suck, right? Like you try to
Okay.
flush that, and you become dead. Okay. So by taking the bus, not only do you get more legroom and nicer chairs, you can move it around. Your ears aren't going to pop. Okay, and it's a lovely road trip. North America is a beautiful country, and you can't see that like a bajillion feet in the air. So the players are going to have a nice view. They're going to be more social. They're going to be more comfortable. Okay, and it's going to save on it's going to save on gas or
Yeah,
whatever.
actually, you could increase the cap.
Exactly. You're going to save so much money.
And also, because the amount of time it would take to drive in between cities, the season will probably last over 2 years, making the victory even better.
Exactly. It's hockey in the summer. Who doesn't love that?
Exactly. I feel like
See,
we've just
you're
convinced
convinced.
ourselves.
I'm convinced
Yeah, I
you.
am convinced. Yeah, maybe just for like individual conferences. So if you're flying from east to west, you can fly from east to west, but in your in east and in the west, if you're driving to inter conference and interdivisional rivals, you have to drive.
Well, in the Premier League, they take buses, so I can't see why they don't do it here.
Well, they take buses now, but wasn't it last year or the year before? There was a big scandal about the amount of time Premier League players were spending on planes.
Exactly. So they switched because it was a good idea.
Exactly.
And that's a problem with hockey. We don't follow the big leagues like that, so we need to change.
True. Right. Before we depart, Liz, we've got one last question for you. Most serious
Alright.
question of them all. If you could replace hockey sticks with a utensil from the kitchen, what would it be and why?
Okay. So I feel like I would go with electric beaters from like a handheld like mixer, because I think if you could walk around with those and you had like battery powered like operated ones, you could turn them on, you could fling that puck, like it would absolutely go like be gone. So I feel like it has the ability, you could whack it just with the beaters as is, or you could turn on and you could send that thing like going in all kinds of different directions. So I feel like it's got potential to be very interesting. So that's
Are
what I
we
would go with.
talking like electric beaters, the same size electric beaters, or hockey stick size electric beaters?
Hockey stick size electric beaters.
I feel like it'd be very difficult to carry.
I feel like if you just had like if we made this work in like the sense where it's like we knew that this was the goal, like you could have like it's like a single beater and it has like a battery powered thing at the top, so you're just holding it's like the same kind of grip, but then the bottom is like a battery powered
Oh,
electric mixer.
yeah.
There we go.
Okay. How would it be made of carbon fiber?
Come again?
Would it be made of carbon fiber?
Yeah, I think it would.
What flex do you have on those beaters?
Yeah, what was your beta flex?
Oh my gosh, I feel my brain initially was like, "Oh, we could go back to, like, wood," but I was like, "That wouldn't work," and I feel like that's really dangerous. I'm like, "You know what? No, we're gonna go with a whole new lane of operations here with carbon fiber human-sized beaters."
Would you prefer your carbon fiber beaters to, the flex to be a bit more whippy? But and that will leave it there. Thank you very
Oh
much
my
for
god, that was
listening.
terrible.
Thank you very much for listening to the Lyss Hockey podcast. Thank you once again to Lyss Houde for coming on. We really appreciate it. Plug yourself. Where can we find you? Where can anyone find you?
You can find me all over the place, mostly on Twitter, or I guess if you want to call it X to be politically correct
No,
or whatever it is these
it's
days.
Twitter. It's Twitter.
It's Twitter. My username is @LyssHoude, which is nope, that's my full name. LYSSHOUDE. That's kind of where I am mostly plugging hockey stuff. Also on TikTok, where I make mostly content about how girls can get more engaged in hockey and teaching them different rules and things like that, and trying to explain some of the more complex parts of the game. That's @Lyss WPG, Lyss Winnipeg. And then I make all my content during the year at SDPN, Steve Dangle Podcast Network, doing Game Over for the Winnipeg Jets, and working with all my buddies over there, covering the games after the fact. So that's kind of where you can find me. Thanks so much for having me on, guys. It was a blast.
Well,
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. And thank you to the listeners for listening to this edition of the Lyss Hockey podcast. I'm Lewis.
And I'm Rozh.
And why do you keep listening to this?